Okay, so part two um, on foreign policy in the Middle East. And I'm reading some excerpts from the journal, which is put out by Center for American Progress. The journal is called Foreign Policy. It is not the same journal as the CFR that Joe mentioned. It is completely different. And that journal that they put out is called Foreign Affairs. This goes a bit further and is far more in depth and, well, perhaps not in depth, but it takes other considerations into account. Anyhow, so we were talking about Pakistan as a possible security threat, national security threat to our nation. So it goes on the next front. Nearly half of the experts on this panel said that Jordan is the neighbor. Jordan is the neighbor most likely to experience a spillover of violence from Iraq. And that's basically because I don't know if any of you know this, but you know, Jordan basically has now a very large refugee population coming from Iraq because of the war there, and so does Syria. And but Jordan is an autocratic government, and they have a very large refugee population now from Iraq fleeing the war there. And the regime in Jordan is not stable. It is considered by CFR experts, you know, the foreign policy establishment, which is setting the policy as an ally. And as you might imagine, you know, this whole thing is essentially, in my opinion, and of course I'm not an expert, neither are any of us, but you know, you just have to, sometimes you just have to look reality in the face. This is like a house of cards that's going to collapse, and you know, this is what we've been saying all along, and we shouldn't be thinking about starting other wars in the Middle East. So Jordan is considered as a possible destabilizing factor in the Middle East. The next country is Saudi Arabia because the population is very unhappy there. They're essentially living under a monarchy, of autocratic government, a dictatorship, which we have been supporting due to our dependency on their oil, essentially. The next country in line is Turkey. There's lots of instability in Turkey. There's also lots of internal things going on in Turkey, which have to do with the European Union and integration into the European Union and the different factions that are emerging now. Not an easy thing. And of course then Syria, and in the very last place that these experts talk about is Iran. Iran poses the least threat of all of these major nations in the Middle East. And so, you know, there was a little sentence here. It's called Deciphering the Chatter. So how does the rhetoric of the candidates, our candidates for the presidency here in the United States, match up with the country's most respected international affairs experts? Yeah, I thought that was a pretty curious question too. Well, here's how it matches up. It's here's some statements by our candidates, and I'm quoting both Democrats and Republicans, top runners, so to say. Senator Hillary Clinton: I believe we are safer than we were. She said this in June of 2007. Well, the experts say a huge majority, 91% of us, believe that the world is growing more dangerous for Americans and the United States. And next in line is Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I support the president's increase in troops. Even more importantly, I support the change in strategy. This was during a speech in 2007. That was in January. The experts say the majority, 83%, believe the surge has had either a negative impact or none at all on the war. Senator John McCain. We lose this war and come home, and they'll follow us home. In a speech, March 2007. The experts from this particular site that I'm quoting here say 9 in 10 say that they do not believe terrorist attacks would occur inside the United States as a direct result of our withdrawal from Iraq. And then we have Senator Barack Obama saying we must maintain the isolation of Hamas in the Middle East. In a speech March 2nd, 2007. The experts say more than 70% of us believe that we should engage with Hamas and that we should not isolate Hamas. Governor Mitt Romney, this is a time to increase our diplomatic isolation of Iran. The experts, 8 out of 10 say engaging in bilateral dialogue with Iran and with Tehran over its nuclear programs is absolutely essential. I guess that that sums up that little article here, but you know, pretty interesting reading. I'll follow up on this foreign policy thing in my next video. I have some other things to talk about, not necessarily what Joe talks about. It depends on what he says, of course. So anyway, thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in, and thanks for taking the issues seriously. Bye.